This essay is about the hauntings, my hauntings. Um, and I don't get my hauntings. I mean, I don't understand why they occur to me. And it may simply be an idiosyncrasy on my part, but there are things throughout my life that have haunted me. And it goes back to the days when my parents moved from Pensacola, New Jersey to Mount Lebanon, Pennsylvania. And that move and its effect of the move haunted me for over half my life. The thing about the hauntings is that they will haunt me until I find a resolution to why they're haunting me. And this essay has a number of examples. But what's interesting to me is that they haunt you and kind of nag at you until you're forced, sometimes out of desperation, to address the haunting. And that process is always beneficial. My haunting's a little bit like dancing with death. I would not want to go through either one of my dances, and I would not want to go through any of my hauntings. And I will never delete the two dances with death, and I won't delete the hauntings. Because the hauntings force me to come face to face with a problem that I can't understand. And the haunting forces me to try to deal with, address, understand, whatever, the haunting. So that's the backstory. Campbell has hauntings. You feel sorry for me? I mean, but that is the backstory. So I have hauntings. What do you do with your hauntings? I'm sure I'm not the only person that's walking around this world today haunted by certain things. You know, I see benefit from the hauntings. I really don't want to find, you know, I don't need to find more and more hauntings. I have enough of my own to deal with. But once I've dealt with them, it's a relief. One, you feel free. Two, and three, in some way you benefit. And I'll tell you, this is one haunting, and it's not in the book, or it's not in the essay. I mentioned dancing with death. I can give you 24 people that have done the dance, and they benefited from the dance, and then after another 5, 10, 15, 20 years, they're no longer here. One of the things that haunts me is that I can't find anybody who's alive that I can sit down with and talk about dancing with death. I danced with prostate cancer, I danced with subdural hematoma or traumatic brain injury. And all that I can do is read other people's dances. I would love to be able to sit down and say, now, I know what Posh says. I know what Steve Jobs says. I know what Kurt Vonnegut says. I know what Miguel Cervantes says. I know what John Donne says. I know what David Hume says. Alan Seeger says. But I wanted to be able to talk to somebody who has done the dance and say, and this is how I felt. How did you feel? And discuss, argue, debate, whatever. And that haunts me. You can't believe the number of physicians, friends, I've mentioned it in articles, that I've asked, I need to talk to somebody who's done the dance, that's still alive. I'm still alive. I'm planning to live for another 27 years to outlive George Burns. But I want to be able to talk to somebody that has done the dance. But I can't find anybody. And trust me, that haunts me. It bugs me. So maybe you know somebody that has done the dance. I mean, just go to my webpage. You're on my webpage, but go to the articles and look on the right-hand side and scroll down and see a picture of Randy Posh. Read that essay, watch the video, and there are dozens and dozens and dozens of articles about dancing with death. So the haunting issue is something that I don't enjoy doing or experiencing the hauntings, but they benefit me if I address them. And your hauntings, if you address them, will benefit you. The option is, if you don't want to deal with the hauntings, is to sit back in your room and just pout. My suggestion is carpe diem, seize the day, go out and figure out how to resolve that particular problem. You'll be a better person for it. And I know that I'll be a better person for it also. But the process is not enjoyable. It is not enjoyable for me. I'm always being nagged. You've worked out half of it. That hasn't been enough. And it keeps on pushing and pushing and pushing. Everything that I mentioned in that essay is still in my life. Maybe not as loud of a haunting, but it is still there. So I'm sure that many of my readers are sitting back and saying, yeah, God, Camel, sometimes I wonder about you. The hauntings are exactly like the dances. They force you. They enable you. They drive you to address the issue, to try to figure out why the haunting. And then once you do, you can move on. If you haven't done the dance, the issue of doing the dance isn't very clear. I'm telling you as honestly as I can, prior to doing my dance, if I heard somebody talking the way I am about doing a dance, I would, the guy doesn't know what he's talking about. I do know what I'm talking about with the dance. I have done the dance. It's not enjoyable, trust me. But I'll tell you, it motivates you to move. It motivates you to move ahead. And the hauntings are no different. So I appreciate your listening to my venting about the hauntings. But that's just about me. You have hauntings. The question for you is, what are you going to do about them? I'd suggest acting. Take care.